In collaboration with START and Ann Arbor Public Schools, we are excited to introduce to you the CETA-ROR, also known as the CETA-ROR, the Classroom Environment and Teaching Assessment, revised for online and remote learning.
What is the CETA-ROR? Well, it was taken from the original Classroom Environment and Teaching Assessment revised, for the CETA-R. That assessment assessed the implementation of evidence-based classroom practices that provide a solid learning foundation for students with ASD. This updated version, the CETA-ROR, has been modified to include examples, tools, and definitions for the various educational settings that students may currently be taught in. It is a work in progress and will be updated as research and resources become available.
So what's included? Well, first, we have the assessment itself. Next, we've created training tools that break down all of the areas of the CETA and provide staff implementation support. Next, and finally, we've created a website that houses all of these great resources in one spot.
Let's go back and take a look at the first part, the CETA-ROR assessment. The first thing that I would like to describe in more detail is that we divided the CETA-ROR into 3 sections according to setting. The first is the building classroom. The original CETA-R was written for a building classroom. It's the traditional public school provided in a brick-and-mortar setting. Most of the CETA-ROR has stayed the same for this setting, but specific examples and tools are now included. The next setting is the online learning platform. This is for students who are enrolled in a public school system and receive educational services outside of the traditional brick-and-mortar school. It's usually through an online process determined by the public school system. It includes synchronous and asynchronous examples and tools. Although the student is located in a remote setting, the online learning part of CETA-ROR was designed for the brick-and-mortar teacher who has changed to teaching with an online platform. Our last setting is that of remote learning. Students in this setting are enrolled in a public school system and receive educational services outside of the traditional brick-and-mortar school building. It's typically in the home setting with a parent, caregiver, or tutor providing face-to-face guidance over the curriculum that the school district provides. Students may also engage in a hybrid with either building classroom or online settings. Remote learning is different from homebound services and was written specifically with the educational response to the COVID-19 pandemic in mind. Now, let's click on this box and take a look at the CETA-ROR assessment in its entirety. Here you could see that at the top of the assessment there is room for demographic information. Underneath that is the purpose for the CETA-ROR. Describes it being a coaching tool for teams. Underneath that is the recommended collaborative process. No one is in this alone. Beneath that we have a coding system that is numeric. 3 is evident, which means the item is clearly evident in the majority of the time and is implemented with fidelity. 2, it's inconsistent. The item is evident some of the time and/or the item is not consistently implemented with fidelity. 1, it's emerging. The item is evident during a limited portion of the time and/or is in the early stages of implementation. Finally, there's 0, which means that it just is not evident at this time. To the right of that, you could see our table of contents. The table of contents is broken into 7 different areas. We have environment, visual and organizational supports, positive behavioral intervention and supports, instruction and academic engagement, communication systems and supports, social interaction and peer-to-peer supports, and finally, adult support and interaction. As you can see, each section in our table of contents has a corresponding color and icon. If you click on any of the icons, it will take you directly to that section in the assessment. Let's click on the Visual and Organizational Supports icon. You then click on the bookmark, and it takes you right there. As you can see at the top is the title, color, and corresponding icon. This will be the same for each of the sections. In the leftmost column, we have it divided numerically into mini sections. Here you see number 5, the daily schedule. You can also see that it's divided into the 3 settings: classroom, online, and remote. Underneath each of these settings is a description of what you should find in those specific settings. Each of these was built off of the classroom and the original CETA-ROR. All we did was add what the same components and best practices might look like in the setting. In some, such as number 6, the instructional schedule, the online platform is exactly the same as the classroom. If this is the case for either online or remote, we use the word same as the classroom column. Over to the right, we have our implementation scale. It is divided into the classroom, online, or remote setting with our scores that we described earlier. If you click on the title of any of the pages, it will take you to a one-pager of tools and visuals.
So let's return to see what's included. So we just went over the assessment, and now we're going to take a deeper look into our training tools. So when looking at our training tools, you can see that they've been divided into these 7 main areas that are mentioned on the CETA. Each one also has the icon attached to it. These are one-pagers that are all formatted in the same way. So when we look at the format, first, every one-pager will include a what it looks like. That's going to include what it looks like in the classroom, an online setting, and the remote location. So the content of that will be slides with visual examples and more explanation, videos, and key indicators. Next, we'll also have a column for tools. These are going to be live links that if you click on them will give you access to existing START documents, documents from Autism Internet modules, district-made templates, and more research-based documents and resources. Let's go take a look at one of the one-pagers now. I'm going to click on this icon. So here's my one-pager for environment. When I look at the top left-hand corner, I can see the name of the area or universal support plus the icon. When I look over in the middle 3 columns, this is going to give me the information of what it looks like in each setting. And then finally, at the last column is going to be the tools, which are those live links. As I go through, number 1 is climate, for example. So these are the descriptions for each of the indicators. So then I follow to see what climate looks like in the classroom. I have my visual examples, my videos, and any more key descriptors. This goes for online and remote learning. So let's take a quick look at the visual examples. So here's an example of a slide deck or the visual examples that are included for every location and every CETA indicator. Each page will have the number indicator followed by the description. Next, you'll see that it has examples and additional indicators. So this is where we really get to take a look at what it looks like. Going back to our one-pager, we're going to take a look at the tools now. So when I go to this tool section, if I click on any of these are live links. So for example, if I click on this, it's going to take me to that document. and I have that right there available for me. Now let's take a look at what the Google Drive looks like. So you can see that we have folders included for each of the CETA Universal supports, 1 through 7, and ours are colored. However, you will have to color code them yourselves, and ours are color coded according to how we colored the one-pagers. Also, I'm going to switch screens or views so that you can see better the documents that are included. So you have access to the introduction PowerPoint presented in this video. You also have the draft assessment, the web page, which we'll be looking at in a minute, and then submissions to the CETA. So if you have any resources that you'd like to submit, here's a form for you to do that. Let's take a quick peek at one of the folders to see how it's formatted. So when you click on the folder, you will always see the one-pager right here, and then you will have a looks like and a tools, just like our columns. When I click on that, it'll be divided into our classroom, online, and remote. Looking at the classroom, you can see that all of the slide decks are in here, and so they're named by the CETA number indicator. Looking at online, same thing. And here we have these as well, along with added tools. Now, if we go and look at the tools, let's see how that's organized. So again, we will have the CETA number attached to it, and they will be in order by the CETA number. Over here we can see all of our tools.
Now that we've gone over the CETA-ROR assessment and the training tools with our one-pagers, we would like to show you an easier way to access information. We've created a CETA-ROR website. Underneath the title of the CETA-ROR, you will find a description of what exactly it is. Then along the top, you will see a toolbar where you can access each of the different settings, such as environment, visual and organizational supports, positive behavior interventions, etc. Underneath the description, you will see the definitions of the CETA-ROR settings that we discussed earlier: classroom, online learning, and remote. Beneath that, we have the full CETA-ROR assessment for easy access. If you click on the arrow in the upper right-hand corner, it will open up another window for you, and you will have the entire assessment there. Remember, you could also access all of the one-pagers from that assessment by clicking on the titles above. Underneath the full assessment, we have buttons. If you click on one of the icons, it will take you to that section of the website. Let's go into the environment section. Here you could see, for each title of the section, there's a corresponding color and icon. We then have it divided into each of the mini sections. As you can see, this is one, climate, which can be found under the environment heading. It's positive and respectful as demonstrated by affirmative staff-to-student interactions and staff-to-staff interactions. This is the same definition that you'll find in the assessment itself. Underneath that, we have it divided into our 3 settings: building, online, and remote. If you click on an arrow, what pops up will be the indicators for each, along with those specific visual examples or videos. Clicking on the arrow for any of them will give you the specifics for that setting. Beneath that, you will find Tools. Going back to our homepage and scrolling underneath the buttons, we have a resource submission. The CETA-ROR is an ever-evolving resource. We definitely do not have all of the evidence-based materials that are out there. If there's something that you would like to submit, please fill out this form.
We've just finished going over our last feature of the CETA-ROR, the website, and so now that takes us to our closing. As you begin using these tools and resources, we would love to hear from you about ideas you may have, things you'd like to add, or questions that come up. We are so excited to get this tool out to you, and we cannot wait to see how it impacts our students across the state. Again, this was made in collaboration with START and Ann Arbor Public Schools.